who created you. If you are dissatisfied with you, how can you be satisfied with God? You say, I wish I was born white because I hate the fact that I'm black. Black people get so much life in a world like this. Well, if you don't appreciate being black, how could you appreciate the Creator who created you black? You must have some anger toward Him and love your neighbor as yourself. Is this why there's so many drive-by shootings and accidental killings of our children? A little boy sitting in his living room drawing, 10 years old, and a bullet comes through the window and kills the young man. How could this love that Christians talk about so much be real if we don't show love for one another? So my thought was that maybe we're talking something that we just don't quite understand. So today, I'd like to try to give us some understanding of the word first. Can we use the blackboard for a minute, please? Or it's the whiteboard with black chalk. Now, when I was with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I used to talk about love all the time. And one day he just got tired of me. And in a stern voice, he said, brother, what is the meaning of that word? And I gave him some silly definition that I got from Mr. Webster. And he showed me a little disgust and said, he said, oh, brother, that's not love. He said, love is based on three principles. One, freedom. Two, justice. Three, equality. He said these three principles are the principles that undergird love, and these three principles are the essential of life. So here you have love, or LL. The O is interchangeable with the vowel I. The F is interchangeable with the F is interchangeable with the consonant V. So when you have love, whoa, you have life. When you have life, you have love. These two words are inseparable. Now, where there is love, there's freedom. Every human being is born into this world to be given life and to be free to evolve and develop everything that the Creator has put within. If you are not free, somebody does not love life. Justice. There is no love is injustice. And since justice is the joy of freedom, then even if you're free to develop, but developing in a structure where there is injustice, then there is no joy even in being free when you have no justice. And without justice, you cannot justify your existence. Without freedom, you cannot justify your existence. Because the moment you can justify your existence, you become equal to everything that God has created. I want you to listen. Think with me, though. My mother carried me in her womb 9 months in a tiny house where I was evolving and developing by the grace and mercy of God. In the 9th month, when it was time for me to come forth, I had to be freed from the tiny womb that held me. When I came forth from my mother's body and the umbilical cord was cut, I had to be free to grow to maturity. And in order for me to grow to maturity, the essentials had to be there to cause my body to grow. That means food, clothing, shelter. Now, when I understood that when I came from my mother's womb, I was born to be free, then the next thing that I needed was justice in order to justify my existence. I'm here now. How do I and how do you justify being here? That's a good question. You justify being here by fulfilling the purpose for which you came here. Have you ever seen any creature other than the human that is not what God created it to be? Every creature justifies itself. The ant is not trying to be a bee. The ant is very happy being an ant. The bee is very happy being a bee. The flea is being a flea. The sun is the sun, the moon, the stars, but what are we? The human being is the greatest of God's creation, yet he is so far off from justifying his existence that the very forces of nature work against us to remove us quickly from the planet because we have not justified our purpose for being here. Well, it seems to me that as I watch insect life, animal life, the life of birds and beasts, it seems to me that they're born instinctively knowing what they have to do to justify themselves. I have some geese on the farm, and we had 2 little goslings that came here a few weeks ago, and I watched them stick right close to their mom and walk right behind them, and I watched the geese get in a circle to protect the little goslings. I said, this is interesting. But unfortunately, we couldn't get our hands on the little goslings to put them in a safe place, because nature is constructed by Allah that life feeds on life. So in the pond where the geese like to swim, there's some big turtles in the pond. Well, the geese is not mindful of the turtle, so when the little baby gosling is swimming, the turtle reaches up, pulls it down, and has a meal. Then we have foxes, and we have raccoons. And I watch how, if the mother is not wise in protecting what she just brought into existence, the force of death will overtake the force of life. Isn't that interesting? And what has that got to do with you? A lot, a lot, a lot. Now, in this subject on love, this love is a noun. But the love that's a verb has to involve these principles. But the way it is put in the Holy Quran is a lot different from these principles. Hear me. When we say, I love you, okay? You would think that if the Bible, New Testament, is the testament of love, and the Holy Quran is the final revelation to humanity before the judgment of the world, that love should be all in the Holy Quran. It is, but not under that word. When you study the Quran in the Maulana Muhammad Ali translation, the word love is mentioned approximately 47 times in the whole of the Holy Quran. The word loves is mentioned a total of 44 times. And the word loved is mentioned 2 times. So how is this such an important principle? And it's not mentioned in the final revelation that God sent down in that name, love. But it's all throughout the book, but it's under a different name. And that name will help us to understand whether we do or do not love. And the word that I'm talking about is a word called duty. While the word love is mentioned 44 times, or 47 times, pardon me, the word duty is mentioned 190 times. So, then, how then can you say you love and be careless of a duty? I'll go back over here now. Now, that word duty seems harsh sometimes. Love sounds easy. Duty sounds kind of rough, because the definition, this is according to Webster. I mean, sometimes he does a good job. Webster says, duty is an act or a course of action. I love, ain't doing nothing. So duty is a course of action that is required of one by position, social custom, law, or religion. Duty is an action required. The compulsion felt to meet an obligation, a function or work, service. Whoa. I want you to check yourself now when you're about to say, I love. Don't say it. I think we ought to shut up for a minute. Wait a minute, I don't know what I feel for you. I'm gonna check myself out before I say the word again. I've been saying it and you've been angry with me all the time. And I keep wondering why I keep saying I love you and she's upset. I love you, darling. You think that that's supposed to make her respond properly, but you only say it in a romantic moment. When the lights are out and you may be in the act of procreation and you say, I love you. I'm working. I'm performing a function. I'm trying to serve you, baby. So in that aspect, I must love you. Not quite. Not quite. Now, this thing is going to get hot in a minute. And I don't want anybody to get upset with Brother Farrakhan, because I really want us to see how little we love. How little we love. And when I get finished, I'm hoping that we will know how to love more. And the result of loving more will enrich your life. Now, all right, so a duty is an obligation. And an obligation, according to Webster, is the act of binding oneself by a social, legal, or moral tie. You're bound to something. And you bind yourself to that something. A duty, a contract, a promise, or other social, moral, or legal requirement that compels one to follow or avoid a given course of action. I'm obligated. When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reactions. Now, listen. Sometimes we feel stress. And we go to the doctor. He says, oh, you have a little high blood pressure. You have a little diabetes. And you may have a little cancer or something. And then they tell you, but stress is really aggravating your condition. Stress. What is stress? It is a burden on the mind because of failure to observe a duty or fulfill an obligation. Anytime you are obligated to do something and you don't do it, there's a consequence. Whether you know it or not, the consequence is a burden on your mind that reflects itself in your physical, biological functioning. Now, that's why I came out today, because Allah gave me something to say to me, because I'm learning too. As I teach you, it's not that I'm, so grand that I'm not learning as I teach. As the word goes out, I get it, and then I look at it and say, ooh, I got some work to do. So I don't think any of us should feel so grand in our life position, because our life position may earn us an image that we are far away from in reality, because of failure of duty and obligation. So your blood pressure is all up because the rent is due. Stress because you went on the gambling boat. And Trump got your money. Now the landlord is coming to evict you. Stress. So now that we understand that there is no love without duty, there is no love without obligation, let's see now where duty starts. In the 4th surah of the Holy Quran, Allah says, "O people, keep your duty to Allah as it ought to be kept." Boy, now that appears over and over and over again. And when you keep your duty, it is demonstrative of your love. Let me read you something. Everybody all right? Yeah, see, you look like you're thinking. Look at this from the Quran. It is not righteousness that you turn your faces toward the east and the west. Righteous is the one who believes in Allah and the last day and the angels and the book and the prophet, and gives away wealth out of love for him to the near of kin and the orphans and the needy and the wayfarer and to those who ask, and to set a slave free, and keeps up prayer and pays the poor rate, and the performance of their promise when they make a promise, and the patient in distress and affliction and in the time of conflict. These are they who are truthful, and these are they who keep their duty. So you and I cannot say that we love God if we are not mindful of our duty first and foremost to God. Now, beloved brothers and sisters, if you reason with me, when you think about the Creator and what He has given us, how we are blessed, to think about our being formed in the darkness of our mother's wombs. In God is there His intelligence in the life germ and the ovum, giving us brains to think. That's a heavy gift. Eyes to see, ears to hear, tongue to speak. lungs to breathe, kidney, liver, pancreas to purify, the blood, stomach to hold the food and distribute the food in a just way to the organs that require it based on good diet. The intestines, the skeletal function, the muscular function, the nervous system. These are wonderful gifts that are matchless. You like people who give you gifts, right? You give deference to somebody who gives you a gift. Somebody buy you a beautiful Rolls Royce. You say, whoa, they really love me. So how do you act? Oh man, that's my man. In the language of the street, that's my dog. That's my dog. Gave me a great automobile. He gave me this. He gave me that. But can any giver equal what the Creator has given you? Then your duty to the Creator is first and foremost, because you are born into the world in debt to the Creator, a debt that you can never, ever pay. So all the Creator requires as your duty to Him is to believe in Him. That's all. Believe in me. Set up no rival or partner with me. Believe in the last day, the day of judgment, that no matter who escapes the law of man, no one escapes the law of God. No one, no one. In Western jurisprudence, you hire a lawyer and you murdered somebody. You were selling drugs. You were doing something wrong. It's the lawyer's duty to lie, to find a scheme, a way of getting you off even knowing that you are guilty. And if you got enough money to pay for the high-powered lawyer, you might get away with murder in man's law. But the mizan, the balance that God has set in the universe. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me that when you wake up, justice wakes up with you. When you go to sleep, justice lie down with you. You never, ever get away from the principle of justice, that whatsoever a man soweth, the same shall he also reap. So sometimes you feel good because you beat the case, even though you're guilty. I beat that case. But your case is always in a higher court. Always. And I will guarantee you that before you leave this earth, you will pay. And not only will you pay, but sometimes your foolishness will sentence your children. And they will pay for your stupidity and unwillingness to be good in your life, to pass on good to your seed, but you be evil in your life, not even realizing that you're setting up something for your offspring. So the evil of your actions will follow you in the line of time. Nobody gets away. You may think the white man and all the evil that he has done has gotten away. No. Nobody gets away. And you may think that we have gotten away with our foolishness. But only the mercy of Allah will keep from us the weight of the consequences of our actions and our failure to live up to what we are obligated to do to justify our presence. Now, I think I would like to start with duty to God. And he doesn't require much, you know. I mean, it's really something. Here's a God that gives us all of this. We come forth into a universe, everything already here for us. He gave you everything that you and I would need to make a successful life. It's already here. But it's something we got to do to access what God has put here to make a great life for yourself. Are you listening? So what does he require? He said the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force in the restraining of us in the doing of evil. When you wake up in the morning, you wake up by his grace. So remember him. With gratitude, thank you, Allah, that I got up to see another day. Remembrance. You believe in him, then act on your belief. If you believe in Allah and the last day, meaning a time when the world, its systems, and the people and nations and governments in that world will be judged. Do you believe that? Yeah? You do? I don't think so. Because if we really believe that there is such a thing as a day of requital, a day of judgment, we would be more mindful of the words that come out of our mouths, and we would be more mindful of the deeds we do with our hands. We lie so easily, and we think there's no consequence for that. Sometimes we exaggerate, but even an exaggeration is false. It's a consequence. Mistreating a fellow human being. Well, there's a consequence if you mistreat yourself. So after your duty to God, as a baby would say, we'll start with the children. You don't know God except by mom teaching you about the Creator and you raising questions, because the God that we know is mama. That's how you say God in baby language. Right? If you want to petition God, you say, oh Allah, oh God, Ya Allah. Right? When you're a baby, you don't petition Allah. You say, Ma, Mama, Dada. Why are you calling on them? Because they are here with a duty to suffice your need. Oh boy. So look, Mom, you're not just a mother because you had sex with a man and you had a child. Once you have a child, you have a moral obligation that's binding on you to perform your duty to what you brought into this world. That you brought into this world has needs that have to be met, and it is the duty of a mother, the duty of a father to meet the obligation. And if you don't meet that obligation, stress builds up in the family, and stress builds up in your head. And later in life, your children will remind you of your failure. They'll come against you because you failed in your duty. As you mature, brothers, you can't say you love Allah and don't love yourself enough to perform the duty that is required to yourself. Oh, okay. Now, what is the duty that I'm required to do? Well, we already know what our duty is to God, but you also have a duty to yourself. Well, what is my duty to myself? Well, I'm a human. And I'm made in the image and the likeness of God, according to the Bible. And according to the Quran, I am the vicegerent of God. I am responsible for God's work on earth. I got a duty to myself. He introduces himself to us in the Quran. Alif Lam Mim. And some of the scholars translated, although this is not an accurate translation of these letters, they say it means, I, Allah, am the best knower. Well, then how can you be a servant of God and not be a seeker after knowledge? Come on now. I'm not saying that you should spend your time looking at how the world turns. Or the general hospital. Or the days of our lives. You have a duty to yourself to grow in knowledge, because it is only knowledge that separates the animal instinct of the human being and grows us into human beings that can reflect the divine attributes of God. So every day we live, we should be trying to know something more today than we learned or knew yesterday. That is a duty binding upon us. So whether you go to school or not, the Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, and the words were Iqra, read. And I noticed the word read came before the word pray. Because the more you read and know about Allah and your relationship to Allah, the more dutiful you will be toward Allah and toward yourself. Am I making sense? Okay, let's go a step further. This is a beautiful body that he gave us. This is a magnificent construction, isn't it? What is your duty to yourself? Your duty is not to hang out in Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Popeyes, churches, chicken. Your duty to yourself is to feed yourself the best of what the earth provides to give you the nourishment to keep this body alive. And that determines how much you love you. If I love me, then I'm going to feed me properly. And I'm going to have me a woman that will feed me properly. Isn't that right? That's your duty. If you know that the water is not pure, since water is the essence of life, then it's your duty when you love yourself to drink a good glass of water. That's your duty. Take care of yourself. Now you want to smoke. That's not a duty. But they have it so that it binds itself to you as though it is a duty. So you wake up in the morning looking for a cigarette. Rather than looking for God or looking for some good food, you wake up, I got to have my cigarette. So the enemy has bound you to something that is against your life. And you're going to talk about, I love myself and I love you, baby, like I love myself, but I'm killing myself every day. So hell, don't be surprised when I kill you. Duty is the demonstration of the degree of your love. The greater your sense of duty, the greater your love for that which you have bound yourself to by duty. I would like to be a true lover of God. That's the greatest thing that I could aspire to in life, is to be a true lover of Him who has given me everything. So then I must be mindful of my duty to Him. Because the greater I am in duty and service to God, I'm demonstrating my love for Him. The greater I am in my duty to myself, I'm proving that I love myself. Now, here I am. I'm getting fatter by the minute. My stomach is hanging down on my kneecaps. My ankles are swollen. My eyes are red and yellow with a tinge of green in it. But I love you, baby. Don't you trust that? You take one good look at that brother and you say, hey, wait a minute. How is your stomach all over your knee? Well, wait just a minute. What's wrong with my stomach being over my knee? It's you don't love yourself enough to take care of this. But what you mean? You're supposed to exercise if you love yourself. Uh-oh. What kind of walking did you do? What kind of exercise did you do? Did you get on a bicycle? Did you do something physical to keep this physical anatomy in good working condition? You didn't do that. Oh, I'm very busy. I'm too busy. I'm very busy. I'm a doctor. I got a lot of patients, man. I ain't got no time for that. I'm a teacher. I got to study, get my lesson plans out and everything. I ain't got no time for no exercise. Well, you got time to die. So just as you got enough medical science to be a good doctor, it's the big one. You out of here with a heart attack because you didn't love yourself enough to do good to yourself. I want you to follow this now. It says when you love, you give away wealth. Out of love. That's stop. You can't love and be niggardly at the same time. I'm not cussing. I'm not calling us niggers. I didn't do that. Niggardly is one who is just plain old stingy. You hold everything to yourself. You won't give nothing to nobody. You don't give any wealth to your near of kin. Starting first with your wife. Oh, hell no, she works. I ain't giving nothing to her. In fact, I can't wait for Friday to come when she can bring the money home to me. Oh, that's stressful, brother. That's a lot of stress when a woman got to take care of a man. That's why you got diabetes and high blood pressure. You about to have a heart attack, man. I hear the sisters crying out like I touched a nerve or something. Now look, brothers, we're talking about duty now. The Holy Quran says men are the maintainers of women. That is an obligation binding on you by the nature in which you are created. This is not a social custom. This is not a law of man. This is a law ingrained in the nature of your creation, that every man is created by God to be the maintainer of a woman, not to be a bloodsucker of the life of women. And set the slave free. You say, well, I ain't got no slave. I don't know. You might be a slave yourself. What you mean I'm a slave? Well, if the power and authority of my body is ruled over by a 3-inch white piece of paper with some tobacco in it, I'm a slave that need to be set free. I gotta have some coke. I gotta have some crack. I gotta have some liquor. I gotta have sex. I gotta have this. I gotta have that. So you're a slave to your lust and your appetites. But if you are a dutiful person, you set yourself free. Never being controlled by a woman and her beauty or the pleasure you get from her body. God did not give a woman to you to control you by her private part. And God did not give you to her to try to control her by your private part. And any woman that allows that is a woman that needs to be set free. She's a slave. You look after the orphan and the needy. I know you don't have a lot of money, brothers and sisters, to give away. But sometimes there are those who come asking for something and they really need it. And if you are blessed to have it, it's required of you that you try to give it. Because some of us are bums. We're going to lay an obligation on somebody who's trying to be a good Muslim or a good Christian. We're going to lay an obligation on them just to ask them for something that we could have got for ourselves. Keeping up prayer, paying the poor rate, but your duty to yourself is to perform after your promise. And look, brothers, it's not worthy, sisters, of you to make a debt where you promise to pay and then you use every trick that you can to get out of paying a just debt. You get a telephone company. You run up a bill. You let that telephone company shut off your phone, then you go get Sprint. Then you do the same thing to Sprint, then you get AT&T or AT&T or MTI or whatever. And you keep running. You rent an apartment. You wait until you're 3 months behind and somebody's going to foreclose. You keep the money, then move somewhere else where you keep doing the same thing. So your address shifts every 3 to 6 months because you make debts promising but failing to perform after your promise. That means you're a liar and you're a thief and you're a murderer. Because when you lie and you steal, you murder the spirit of brotherly love that could come between two people who observe their duty. How many of you write checks knowing that you don't have nothing in the bank? Hoping, keep hope alive, my brother Jesse says. And you're keeping hope alive by writing a bad check, hoping that something will come in. The creditor calls you, it's in the mail. Yes, I just put it in this morning. Yes. You're lying and you're stealing. And what you're doing, you're breaking a relationship because of a failure in duty. But what's happening to your head is stress. It's very stressful to not pay your rent, knowing that you could be put out in the street. It's very stressful when you get one of those notices that I'm going to cut your lights off, your gas off, your phone off. Sometimes it's not that you're lying, bad times come. But when bad times come, don't run from the person that you owe. When bad times come, go to them and tell them bad times have come. Look at my record. I've always tried to pay you, but I lost my job and I don't have it. Could you be patient with me? And I promise you, I will catch up. That's an honorable thing to do. I bought a Cadillac once, and I was in bad shape financially, and I was 3 months behind, and they threatened me they were going to come and take my car. So I went to the office. I said, sir, I'm not a thief. I've fallen on hard times. And I'd like you to be patient with me, and I will pay you exactly what I owe you. The man was nasty. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Faircan. We're going to come get your car. I said, well, I tell you what. You come up on my property and I'll put a bullet in you I said, I'll burn the damn car up before I let you profit from my misery. I'm not telling you to do that. Those were the days of my ignorance, and Honorable Elijah Muhammad was gone, and I had bought 2 guns, and I was not quite myself. But I meant every word I said. I'd have blowed his butt away if he come up on there to profit from my misery. Because the way they set this thing up, they set it up for you to fail. Even when you're trying, then they come and take what you have put all this equity into. And that's wrong. The society is evil. So I was going to match him. I said that was the days of my ignorance. I was living in Beverly Hills, and there was hardly any black people in that area. And the Catholic children that went to Christ the King school, I don't know where they learned this hatred of black people, but they were really hateful. So they used to throw things through my window, and they attacked my daughter-in-law who was pregnant. So that's what I did. I went and bought 2 guns, one for my wife and one for me. And the gun just wasn't my thing. I was practicing shooting, and sweat was just falling from under my armpit. So the gun it's just not my thing, but I was going to use it. So when they throw these bottles in my window, and my granddaughter was sleeping on the floor in front of the fireplace, and a brick came and the bottle came, and my granddaughter was in a ring of glass, but no glass touched her. But I thought I would go to the police station and let them know what I was going to do. And I went to the head of that precinct. If anybody come on my property and do that, I'm going to shoot them down. They said, if you do, Mr. Farrakhan, we have to come after you. I said, well, you just have to come after me, but my word is my bond. I will shoot the first one that come up on my property to do that. I said, you all know how to make examples of little black children, but you don't know how to make examples of your own, so I'll help you out. I'll make an example. Now, these were the days of my insanity. But I was very sane. There was a principle I was dealing with, and I would have carried it out. And they knew that if I come to the police station to tell them that I was going to shoot, then I'm giving you warning. You better go tell your little children that you don't want to correct. Don't come up on that crazy man's property. And from that day, nobody ever come up on my property no more. And the word went forth. But the word I'm saying to you and me is, if you really want good relationships with people, your word has to mean something. Don't ever write a check and you don't have no money. Tell the person, I'm not able to do it right now, but within a week or two, I believe I'll be able to do it. But I don't wish to lie to you and tell you it's in the mail or write you a bad check. I have never written a bad check in my life. And when they see my name on the bottom of a check, that's like seeing any one of these dead presidents on a dollar bill or $20 bill or $50 bill or $100 bill, because I refuse to subordinate my character to a cheap lie, to some debt that I owe, that I intend to pay. But you're not going to cheapen my character to force me to lie and duck and dodge. I am a man, and I will not run from that which I owe. And that is the way you should be. Duty. Now, brothers, I told you what your duty is to yourself, right? Sisters, you have that same duty to yourself. Be good to yourself. Show that you love yourself. Eat well, but not so much that you eat yourself into bad health. Please, sisters, if you know you are a little overweight, don't kill yourself to take these crash diets and end up losing the weight, then gaining it back even more than you had before. Stop. It didn't come on in an instant. Know that it won't leave in an instant. Take your time. Watch your calories. Be good to yourself. And every day do some form of exercise that's showing love for you. Even if you don't have a man to love you, show that you love God and that you love yourself. And if you really show that you love yourself, you're not going to settle for no man with a rap that can't follow through. Do you follow me, sisters? You owe this to yourself. All right, now it's time to get married. Okay? Brothers, we should be getting married. See, that's a duty, man. I'm at the farm, you know, and I watch the horses, they in heat, the female. And the male sniffs, he smells. He wants to jump out of his stall to go get the female. I'm hurting the horses by not letting them fulfill their obligation. But I just ain't got no money to keep feeding more horses. So I'm helping to curtail that duty. But you know, brothers and sisters, you sitting around here thinking that you going to heaven and everybody that died is going to come back one day. Stop it. Look. Excuse me for leaning over, but it's just a fireside chat. But look. This earth been here for billions of years, even trillions of years, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. And you have human beings coming up out of the earth and going back in the earth, coming up out of the earth, going back in the earth. You got 6 billion people on the earth right now, and they're saying that the earth is overpopulated. So they tell the Chinese, you can only have one child. You have more than one, you're penalized, because there are already 1,250,000,000 Chinese, and they don't have enough space. So the more they have babies, then they got to seek somebody else's space. That leads to war. Imagine if all the human beings that died came back. Where would would they stand? There's only 57,255,000 square miles of land, and each body is composed of the earth. Well, if all the billions and trillions that died came back, there wouldn't be no earth. This is why the grass is male and female. God created everything in pairs. Why? Because if it does not reproduce itself, the species dies. I'm with the priest in Zambia, the archbishop. Reverend Moon gave him a wife, and he's a Catholic. And he accepted this Korean woman. Now he's with the Pope, and the Pope is telling him, look, you know, this ain't, you wrong. If you don't get this woman up, we're throwing you out of the church. I would say, let him throw you out, brother. How in the hell can a man who don't know nothing about a woman talk to me? How can he tell me about life? And he never had no woman. He took a vow of celibacy. Show me in the Quran or in the Bible where God has ever required any human being to be celibate. Hell no. Go get you a woman. Excuse me, I got a little carried away. But I think there will be revolt in the church because these priests should not have to be guilty of fondling little boys and sneaking around with Mother Superior. I'm not trying to be vile or vulgar, but that is something that came from the papacy, but not from God. Get a woman. Oh, yeah, I got one, brother. I may have 2, 3, 4. Wait. I didn't say get a playmate. A woman is not a plaything. And you should have more self-respect than to allow yourself to be a plaything for any man that can't do nothing for you. He's already married and he's promising you. Well, check out how he's treating wife number 1. Then you got an idea of what your lot will be like. Now, I'm going to get into polygamy in future lectures because some of us like that lifestyle and it has advantages, but it has great disadvantages as well. And that's not something to play with. That's something that is very, very serious. And God allowed it for a purpose, but he also said, one is better for you if you but knew. Did you ever read that in the Holy Quran? Now, Allah is the best knower.
Chopping it up. What's going on, Stepper for Dolph? Salute. Happy birthday, my brother. Happy birthday. Make sure you subscribe to the new channel, Chop TV Sector. It should be pinned. What's going on, man? Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday, brother.
And he telling you, one is better now, Chief. If you but knew, but hang around in it, you find out one is better. But there's a purpose for it. And devoid of that purpose, it has no place with us. I'll go into that at another time, but I just thought I would drop that out for us to think on. Now, let me talk about marriage. There's a lot of this marriage going on as legal fornication. See, when you become a Muslim, you are forbidden to fornicate. You don't go around sampling the sisters like cookies or donuts in a donut and cookie shop. And sisters, you're not a piece of meat that's in a showcase and the man is out there looking to buy the meat and you have to take it out the showcase and show the person, let me see the meat. Looks pretty good. That's why in Islam, we require the woman to cover herself. It's not that we're imposing something on you that is ugly, because you are holy women, whether you act that way or not. You are from a holy people. And back in Africa, and especially in the lands of the prophets, where our fathers came from, we never wore no such thing as a miniskirt. We never dressed to entice men. We dress in a manner that a man never gets acquainted with your body. He gets acquainted with your mind and you. But if you offer him your body before he gets acquainted with your mind, then he likes your body. And then you lose it through pregnancy or just getting old. And gravity hits certain parts and they start falling. Maybe you'll find him at the next door neighbor's house. Sisters, the man should love you for you, not for your hips, the beauty of your legs or bosom, not even for the beauty of your face, because if he loves you for that, I'm sure there's another woman somewhere equal to you in beauty or more beautiful, and then he starts chasing beautiful women. Now, I'm learning that there's an awful lot of divorce in the nation. Not only the large nation called America, but the little nation that was supposed to be an example, the Nation of Islam. Now, this is bothering me. We go through all this fanfare at a wedding day, spend all this money, feed a bunch of people that don't even like you. Six months, a year down the road, there's talk of divorce. That's very painful. So I'm going to punish those who are not serious about their word. Have not you learned that your word shall be bond, regardless of whom or what? Yes, my word is bond, and bond is life. And I will give my life before my word shall fail. You give your word to God in the presence of your families and friends. And a few months down the road, you saw something in her or she saw something in you. And now you're before a judge and there's babies in the family here that are ill-affected by the stupidity of our actions. Marriage is sacred. It is not to be played with. So if you're not sure of the man, don't get involved. That's why they call it courtship. Courtship. Courtship is that when two people agree to become engaged, then between the engagement and the marriage, we're courting. I got to take you to court. I got to find out what is this that I'm marrying. Some sisters in here and out there are hurting deeply because they've been raped, sodomized, sometimes by their own fathers, uncles, grandfathers, and the children of such are damaged. Very, very damaged. I think when a man marries a woman, he ought to know that he's dealing with a reality here that is going to be difficult, but if he loves you, he can go through the crisis with you to help you overcome the wound of having been sexually molested as a child. I don't think that should be kept from your wife. If you as a brother was sexually molested, you should say something to the girl. Well, in this courtship, I think you need to know that when I was a little boy, my uncle tried to molest me. Well, he didn't try, he did molest me. I've been living with that stain, and I'm trying to overcome it, but I know that marriage is right for me, and you are right for me, but I want you to know that this is a problem in my life, and maybe together we can work it out. So there's no surprises, because mentally, a woman that has been abused like that finds it very difficult to even give herself totally to her husband. Now, the man may be there wondering, what's the matter, baby? Oh, nothing. but just leave me alone. Don't touch me. Oh, hey, wait, where'd that come from? This is real. This happens. And marriages are destroyed because we weren't truthful during the time of courtship. I have a problem, sister. I have herpes. I have a problem, sister. I'm HIV. Why you don't want to tell her? There was a brother in here that married a sister. He didn't tell her that he had herpes. She ends up with herpes. Very upset. I put him out. I sanctioned their divorce because he was a liar. He wanted to come back. I said, when she's free of herpes, you can come back. But I never want to see him again. They're sending people into the nation with these kinds of afflictions to ruin the nation of Islam. That's why having a blood test, don't you lay down with nobody. Damn it, you go get me a blood test. I want to see what the hell I'm getting myself into. Well, it's time, I guess, for me to end this lecture. But I want to end this lecture, duty of a man to a woman. I want to say this to us as brothers. Our women are not by nature adulteresses. Now, please listen to me. When you have the heart of a woman, she will not give herself to no man if she really loves you. I don't care if he's as handsome as the handsomest man in the world and your face as her husband. and him, and she could do the same. Same spirit that's in you for that is also in her too. Now, let me say something on this wise, and I want you to pay attention to this. Brothers, the Holy Quran is a book that guides us into the nature of things, not surface knowledge, the nature. In the nature of a man, he is to be the maintainer of women. Here's a mosque. It's ours. If we own it, we have a duty to maintain it. You have to be watchful over the house, that if a crack develops, where is the water coming in? Well, we have to go fix that right away. If the boiler goes out, if the lights go out, maintaining what you have shows your love for it, your respect for it, because you have a duty by it. After you buy the property, your duty is to keep it up. Are you listening to me? You may not have the money to keep it up, but I have a daughter, Fatima. She's just like my mother, in that my mother could do things. The house needed painting, she would get the paint and paint. The room needed paper, and she would get the paper and paper. I saw her move refrigerators around. So if you don't have money to hire somebody, you have to learn how to do it yourself, but maintenance is a part of your obligation. And when you fail in your obligation and you start looking at leaks coming in the roof, the heat not acting right, that's stress, because you failed in your obligation to the property that you just purchased. When you have a woman, are you listening now? I don't care how pretty she is. She represents responsibility, brother. If you don't want no responsibility, don't look over here. Keep your eyes straight ahead. It may start off nice, but after a while, she needs something. And if you tell her, I ain't gonna do it, I ain't got it, some ugliness starts coming up. Because you had no business looking at her. Because you knew to look at her means either a nice relationship or trouble. And trouble is in the wind if you fail in your obligation. I want you to listen now. Men are the maintainers of women. What does that mean? Oh, I gotta upkeep my wife. What does that mean? See, women are not the same as men. In order to really be a man, it ain't about 150 push-ups. That help maintain your body. That's good. That's good. It ain't about how much weight you lift and how big and pretty your muscles are. That's good too. That's good too. But after she sees it and it's nice, it's over. What next? Am I saying something that? Okay. Listen, I'm gonna make it plain, doctor. I gotta make it plain. Now look, brothers. To maintain a woman, you have to have knowledge. Because sometimes she may act emotionally out of insecurity. And if you don't have the knowledge of how to upkeep her head as well as her heart as maintenance, you could be a good provider. You work hard and you bring your money home, but there are times when money can't solve human needs and problems that a man of wisdom who is not emotionally torn apart because the woman in his life is lashing at him for failure to observe duty. Most of our arguments are because somebody failed in a duty. Check it out. Now, as men, she's created by God to be a consoler for us. We like that part. She is supposed to give us peace and quiet of mind. But she can give you the very opposite. Depending on how you carry out what? Duty. I'll get to you in a minute. And you ain't gonna get no free ride up in here today. But I'm gonna start with us because that's where it starts. It starts with men. And each one of you have the capacity to be a great man. Each one of you have that capacity. And you must never think that the task is bigger than the way Allah made you. He made you and me by nature to be her maintainers. But there's something we got to do. Now, in order for me to maintain a creature, I got to know the nature of what I'm maintaining. You can't maintain a house without blueprints. You got to know where the switches are, where the pipes are, where this is. If that go wrong, you got to know the house. Is that true? You can't maintain a woman if you don't know what a woman is. Her nature is really dependent on a man. She loves to please. She really does. When she don't love to please, it's because we messed up. When you courting, you notice how she smell nice all the time. Hair look nice, dress nice. She wants you to fall in love with her. She wants to please you. She invites you over. Would you like to come over and have some dinner? And she'll go out and if she know how to cook. Now, sister. Look, I ain't marrying no woman that's marrying me to Sally Fields or what the woman name Burger somebody, or don't do that to me. Throw some food in a microwave and throw it at me like I'm a dog. I got to sit down and eat that kind of crap? Hell no. Sister, I'm sorry. I don't care what you know. You can call yourself doctor, you can call yourself lawyer, you can call yourself accountant, you can call yourself physical therapist. I don't give a damn what you call yourself. If you don't know how to keep a man and keep a home, you're going to be a sad woman with your doctor self and your lawyer self. All right, I'm gonna go back over here now. I'll be back over there in a minute. We're just talking about love now and duty. And duty. To maintain a woman, what does it take? Yeah, it does take money now. If you don't have any money, brother, you need to forget her. If you don't know where money comes from, I don't care if you handsome, you will soon run out of good looks to keep her. You got to have some money. And the white man has fixed a society to limit you from having money. So the less money you have, the less you can please her. Unless you had a kind of relationship that Khadijah and I had, where she knew I didn't have no money. I didn't have no bank book. I didn't have no money, but I had a will to work to take care of her and my children. So she knew that I was a man of integrity because she had money. She worked. You know, the little girls, they get these jobs in these little factories doing this and that. I didn't have that. I'd go out and win talent show, get $10 here, $15 here, and my mother would take 10 if it was 15 and give me 5. If I won $10, she would take 7 and give me 3. So when I went out with Khadijah, I may have had just $3. Khadijah may have had $15 in her pocket, but I never let her spend a dime of her money on me. No, sir. I spent my money till my money was done. And when my money was done, I would never let her do nothing for me. She wanted to, but I had to maintain my self-respect as a young man. I'm telling you, this is my thinking at 16 years of age. No woman takes care of me. I wish you all could say that. I mean, you're in church, they say, say, say. Well, I want you to say, I'm not going to let no woman take care of me once I'm a grown man. Say it. Some of you living on your mama and you 30 years old. We're getting some progress over here. But when the clapping is done, we want to see what we do. Now, brothers, if the 2 of you are working, because sometimes it takes 2 paychecks to just observe minimum duty to your children. And sometime in this society, the woman will make more money even than the man. And the enemy does this to give her a rise over you. He's trying to break the authority line that God has set up. In order to maintain a woman, brother, you have to understand who she is. She sure is fine, man. That's all I know. I don't think I need to know nothing else. She just fine. But you have to know that she's the woman of God. And you can't maintain her properly outside of God. Now, wait a minute, Farrakhan. Now, I got me a bachelor's degree. I got me a master's degree. Yeah, and you got hell in your house. A doctorate degree don't keep you from getting a woman to lash the hell out of you for failure in your duty. You just got a doctorate degree. That's all you got. But that didn't qualify you to be a good man. So don't get hung up on these degrees behind your name, because your wife is not hung up on that. How well are you observing duty? And I say this because as a man, see, you have to stand in the place of God. That means if you don't have a knowledge of God and a knowledge of self and a knowledge of the nature of the woman who is your second self, then you don't know how to maintain her from the top level spiritually. Then mentally, man don't want to study. He got big muscles, but mentally he's not equipped. She running rings all around you. And sometimes laugh at you how easy it is to manipulate us. But if you are up on the knowledge, when you see her going that way, you can hit her off. Say, wait, baby, don't go. See, you're maintaining her as a righteous woman because she'll slip and use craft. Play games. Oh, yeah. But hell, if you know the game, when she start moving in the game direction, you block her. You know, I saw a fight last night, David Tua and Bird. And Bird was crafty. He would always spin out because David Tua didn't know how to cut the ring off on him. See, it's a science to everything. You got to know how to cut her off when she's going in a strange direction in order to maintain her in the path of God. And guess what? She got to know how to do the same for you. Because, brothers, you all play some games. We do sometimes, right? And you're supposed to be the righteous head of your house, but sometimes we are not what we should be. And that's why a good woman will always check the man to try and make him stay on the path of God. That's your job. It's your duty. Okay, so now we got the spiritual. And I'm saying this, brothers, if you don't study, you don't maintain her. Guess what? When she finds out you a dummy, You take her to the disco. I guess disco is the short for discovery. And she's dancing with you, but looking for what she can discover. But she already found out this dude here, man. Maintenance is a heavy responsibility, brothers. And it demands for us as men to constantly be on guard in our own homes against the influence of Satan. You can't maintain your home if you don't know how to recognize the wiles of Satan. You can't maintain your wife or your children without knowledge. You cannot secure your wife or your children without knowledge. So, brothers, all of us must be seekers after knowledge. It doesn't mean you have to go tomorrow and enroll in Chicago State or Roosevelt or some university, but you have to know what books to read in order to advance yourself. And the best book I could tell you to read is the Quran. And reading the Bible helps too, because I took love from the New Testament the last time. Now I'm taking duty from the Quran to show you the synergy and how these scriptures complement each other. They're not at variance when you understand. Okay, I'm almost finished. Now, maintaining the woman means that you have a responsibility to protect her and to protect your children. But guess what? You cannot protect what you cannot control. Wait now. Sisters, when I use the word control, that makes you upset sometimes because you don't want nobody to control you. But no man can protect what he cannot control. Now, you don't have to be a control freak, because she has a right to rebel against ignorance that masquerades itself in the form of a controller. I gotta set a balance here. Otherwise, after this lecture's over, some nut is gonna go home and say, see, I got to control what's going on up in here. But I say this, a woman will submit to you if you demonstrate the wisdom that allows them to see it, and they submit to it. Then the wisdom is the controlling influence, not you personally. Listen, please. See, truth is above everybody. So you can't say, I'm the boss. I am the boss in this house. Well, wait now. You're supposed to be, but on what basis? It's not your ability to knock your wife around. It must be on the basis of the wisdom that you have for the situations that arise in the relationship. And if you both are angry, don't bother. because she ain't listening to nothing you're saying. And the decibels that get louder and louder, like, well, okay, you're screaming, you're hollering, and I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. So when anger subsides, then reason can grow in a house. You can never settle an argument where the male ego is involved if you as a woman don't know how to handle the male ego. That's why he lives in your mouth like a dentist, because you rip him apart with your tongues. You see his weakness, and then you beat him up. And he can't handle that. You're driving him out of your house into the arms of a strange woman who he don't have to live with. He just have fun with and leave. And usually that's what he wants, fun and leave. Not responsibility. Boy, this is a tough lecture. Yeah, tough. You may say, well, Farrakhan, could you get it over in an hour? Sure. But I tell you the truth, you're not going to see me always. And what I say is recorded so that you can go back and look at it and listen to it. You may not understand everything today, but I'm making a record so that tomorrow you can hear it, study it, and then do something about it. So, brothers, maintaining her is an art and it is science. You have to be skilled to maintain a woman. Because sometimes she'll come at you from an angle, man, that you didn't quite expect. You know, when a fighter gives you angles, sometimes it's very difficult to hit. But women come at a man from so many different angles. And every angle that they come at you from is a test of your knowledge. So maintenance demands that you and I as men grow into God. Without God in your life, you will not be able to properly maintain a woman. So your duty to God and your duty to self is critical to prepare you for her. Now she got a duty based on her nature, but she can't even get to her duty if we fail in ours. Because her duty is consoler. Ooh, that's a heavy word. When you go to Japan or China, or Korea, those women are taught how to serve a man. You come home from a hard day in the factory or whatnot, hot tub waiting. With oils in the tub, you know, fragrance and candles. And he can't wait to get home. He's so want to get away from his foreman, he rushing for the 5 o'clock hour so he could go home to a woman that knows how to care for him. But he is first required to be a good maintainer of her. And when you are good in maintaining her, then she follows naturally out of love. It ain't just, I'm obligated. Yeah, I am obligated, but it's a duty that I love to do. Come on, baby. Lay down, let me rub your back. Some of you don't even know what a back rub is from your wife. You know what a kick in the butt is, but you don't know what a back rub is. Ever had a woman put her hand in your head and just rub your head, man? I mean, when you come from a hard day work fighting with these racist people, you come home and a woman rubbing your head, brother. Let you lay your head on her bosom. That's what it's made for. Soft and tender. Come on, baby. Lay your head down here. When you hit the door, you smell the food on the stove. Because she know how to cook. She's not giving you no hog maw, no chitlin fatback. She's giving you a good, wholesome, healthy meal because you are to maintain her in one way. She has to maintain your health and well-being by the food that she cooks and the good way she looks and the good way she acts as a consoler of you. Now, if you don't have a wife like this, I'm only giving you the ideal. I'm giving you the ideal man and the ideal woman. We got to work up to this. But sister, let me tell you, that's your nature. I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say, boy, when you treat a woman right, if you just watch her, when she leaves you, when you make her know that you're pleased with her, she gone to the kitchen. You see from the back of her that her cheeks have almost stretched out to her ears. She's just smiling and happy. I pleased him. That's your reward for being a good maintainer, is the pleasure of her company. And for us to do nothing and then want the pleasure of her company, that's pimping. And that's a slave. Free the slaves. Free the slaves. Now, to the young people that live in their parents' homes, your parents have a duty by you, but you also have a duty by your parents. No child should raise his or her voice to their parents. That behavior is not liked by God. Sisters, brothers, look, even though you're growing in your strength as a young man, that strength should be subordinated to your mother and your father because they bore you when you were young, particularly your mother. A man is not a good man who is unkind to his mother. A man is not a good man who is unkind to his wife. I'm talking about good in the sight of Allah, because He has given us the criterion. So children, as the Bible says, honor your mother and your father. How do you honor your parents? By trying to be respectful and obedient to them, especially when they have lived life and they have fallen into traps and they don't want you as their daughter or their son to go in the same way that they went, make the same mistakes that they made. Okay, well, I got a mother, and it hurts me for my mom to bring men home, and I hear them sometime at night in the next room, and it really tears me apart. How can I honor and respect a mother like that? That's not your duty to judge your mother. It's your duty to honor them, because without that mother, you wouldn't be here. So if what she does hurts you, you should wait for an appropriate time and speak to your mother out of the deepest respect. And she may look like she's rebelling against your words, but if you come to her right with respect, she'll go away from you and say, Lord, I'm going to have to change. But you must come to your elders with respect and honor. Sometimes it's difficult to do when your parents do something that you believe is wrong, especially in relating to you. Still, you are required by God. Don't say so much as to your mother. Don't do it, sisters. Don't do it, brothers. Even if you are angry and you are right and mom is wrong, be respectful and wait until a proper time. I remember once my mother gave me a time to come in, and that night it was 10 o'clock. And I was out with my friends, and we got into a conversation, and the conversation got so good, I failed to look at the time. And I got home nearly 11. My mother met me at the door. First, she locked me out. Now I'm sleeping on hard stairs in an apartment building. Then after she left me out there about an hour and a half, she let me in, and soon I got in the door, she hit me. Bam! I went up in my room and I sat down in the chair, and she came back and she hit me again. I told her the truth, but she was angry with me because she gave me a time and I didn't watch the time. But I was so angry with my mother that I begged her, please don't hit me again, because I felt something violent coming up in me toward her, which she would have killed me. And she didn't hit me anymore, and I never said anything. Years later, I'm waiting at home. My mother don't show up. I'm nervous because my mother never stays out late. She finally came in, maybe 12 something, near 1. I said, Ma, what happened? She said, child, I was out there with Miss so-and-so and Miss Ting, and we talking. And the conversation so good, man. I talking, I forget the time. And when I look up, this is the time. I said, Mother, do you remember when I told you the same thing years ago? I just reminded her gently. Until my mother died, she was the boss in my house. A lawyer came to my house to discuss business, and my mom was at the table. She had wanted to talk that night. She's up in her 80s, and she was talking. She held the floor. So when the dinner was over, the lawyer said to me, he said, I can see who the boss is in this house. I said, as long as my mother's alive, she's the boss. I said, I never know when I won't hear her voice again. So whenever she wants to talk, I ain't got nothing to do but listen. We'll make another appointment some other time. If you treat your mother with respect and honor, which is your duty, God smiles at you for being honorable to your mother and your father. Now, lastly, do you know that you have a duty by the creatures as well? You should never mistreat the creatures of God. Now, I kill flies. I can't help that. Flies in my domain, you gotta go. In fact, if you're a bug and you're in my house, see, this is my space. Don't come up in here. I'll get raid and get you. But to show love for God is to be dutiful in how you care for the lower animals. You never just mistreat the creatures. God in the Quran, he allows you to hunt because hunting sometimes keeps the balance in nature, you see. But excessive. You don't even kill one of God's creatures without mentioning his name over that life. You don't just take the chicken and just... See, you're frightening the chicken so bad till it's releasing into its own system that which will be harmful to you when you eat the flesh. They should never even know that they're dead. You do it so quick and so merciful. This is the way God wants us to treat his creatures or the lower animals. Can you imagine how angry Allah is by the way we treat a fellow human being? How do you think God is looking at us? No matter what my son failed to do or didn't do, to go and beat the boy with baseball bats and then shoot him, you know, how does God look at that? Well, he could say, I sent him. Because good words that you speak, he didn't hear. So maybe the bat and the bullet will help him come to himself. God has a left hand and a right hand. And he uses them both to accomplish his will. You may not understand, but I told my son Mustafa, I said, always look for the hand of God in the things that happen. And when you see God's hand, respect it and understand how God works. Enough said. I close from the Bible. And look at these words of Paul. He's talking about love now. He said, wives, be in subjection to your own husband, that if any obey not the word. They also may without the word be won by the conversation of their wives. If this man fails to obey the word, by your conversation with him, you can bring him back to the straight path, because if both of you say you believe, then in your house truth must be the arbiter of dispute. It says, while they, your wives, behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and wearing of gold or putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible. In other words, sisters, what you do to beautify yourselves on the outside to please him, there's something that you should do on the inside. Wives, be in subjection to your husband. Husband, be in subjection to God. So if you are in subjection or submission to God, she's justified in submitting to you in a godly way. But just because you're the man, don't think that because you're the man, she's justified in obeying you when your words are contrary to what is right, what is just, and what is true. So I thank you for allowing this discussion. And I pray to Allah, brothers and sisters, that you gain something from today's discourse. Just a minute, please. Could you hold your seats for just one? Thank you. I know it's late. It's a little after 5. But, you know, you gained something. I hope you did. And so as you leave this place today, I want us to go home and really think about the word love and think about the word duty and give yourself a report card. Look at yourself and say, where have I failed in my duty, first to Allah, to myself, to my wife, to my children, to my employer, to my fellow man? Where have I failed? If they're paying you so many dollars an hour, give them an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. Don't be found hiding behind the woodpile, sleeping and ducking and dodging, and then expecting a full paycheck at the end of the week. That's cheating. Be dutiful. Be honorable. Be respectful of who you are. You are the people of God. Now, I'm going to come back, if it's the will of Allah and I'm up to it. I want to be with the men tomorrow night. But I want to come out on Wednesday because there's another subject that God gave me like this one. It's like a twin. Who are you to your wife and your children? And who are you to your friends and associates? And who is better to judge you? Your wives and your children, or your friends and your associates? Some of us really try hard to impress others, but we don't go home to impress our wives and impress our children. So maybe we might get a good grade from the outside, but a failing grade from the inside. And so on Wednesday, if it pleases Allah, I would like to see as many of you would like to come out. Won't be as long as this, but I promise you that the best person is the person who can go home and get a good grade from his wife and from his children. So let's talk about that, because some of us are much too interested in image and not interested enough in the substance that comes from a good relationship with our wives and our children. And I want to reverse all of the madness. If I could say this about birthdays, they got this thing all backwards. When it's your birthday, right? Who has a birthday today? Anybody in here? Oh, brother. Yes, sir. Congratulations, brother. May Allah bless you both to have a very long and fruitful life. But you know what? When it's a birthday, we always expect somebody to give us something. Every time you reach another year, find something to give your mother. Think about that. And while people are giving you gifts saying happy birthday, you say it wouldn't be no birthday for me if my dear mother didn't go through those 9 months and all that fainting and all that pain. So on the anniversary of my birth, I shall remember my mother who brought me here. And here, Mom, here's a gift for you on my birthday. Thanks for bringing me into the world. You try reversing this, and Allah will bless you. I'm so happy to be out with you, and thank you so much for receiving me. I just wanted to congratulate my United Kingdom representative, Minister Hillary Mohammed.
Chop it up. This is Chopping with Shadow, the talk show. And it's the talk show. Chop it up. This is Chopping with Shadow, the talk show. Chop it up. This is Chopping with Shadow, the talk show.